So this is my second part to my last week's series that I was talking about ROI on your different third-party vendors. I guess that's the only way to put it. They're the vendors that drive your digital advertising, your search, your social, your things like that. So the particular dealership that I was talking about that wasn't running their VAs with Pure Cars, they were running them with a third-party agency. So the third-party agency, and the third-party agency's priorities are to the third-party agency. They might seem like they're to you, and you're a secondary target. You're a secondary, not target, that's a bad word. You're a secondary priority. The first priority is to drive traffic to their website. Your inventory is on their website, yes, but is it your priority to drive traffic to your website? Okay, so now we've got that established. So looking at the specific ROI based on the lead source to determine whether or not that's a successful lead source for you will absolutely, it needs to be a part of the conversation. The knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I don't have any traffic in my store, I'm not selling any cars, so I'm going to cancel all my vendors and go with all new vendors. That's not, that is not the answer to your problem. So looking at the data, looking at the measurable data of what is it costing me to drive a hard conversion to my store, to drive a soft conversion to my store, looking at those numbers to determine whether or not this is successful for me. It's going to be different for each geography too, right? In each OEM and in each, the demographics of your area kind of a thing. That's all going to be determining whether or not you're going to move forward with that particular vendor. But we've really got to stop making these reactive decisions based on, the market sucks right now for automotive. It just sucks. It's not because you're with the right vendor or the wrong vendor. It just sucks. And we've had it suck before. It's not sucking as hard as 2008. I guarantee you. It's not sucking as bad as 2008 in California. Because let me tell you what, that was a ghost town. There was 3 days. I was at one of the busiest Ford stores in California, and we had 3 days where we didn't sell a damn car. So, and that was after, what's his face, governor raised the DMV, tripled the DMV price. And I mean, it was a mess, right? It was an absolute mess. And we had people in full-blown panic mode. It's not that bad, but it is bad. It is slow for sure. So if your guys don't know how to sell, you're going to need to spend a little money on selling. If your guys forgot how to sell because the past 3 years they've been riding the wave of, oh, we only have limited amounts of that, so we can sell it for A, whatever the hell we want to, and B, we don't really have to provide any level of customer service because they don't have a choice. So one of the things I've recommended to everybody is get back to a basic sales training. So if you don't know a sales trainer, find one. I can come to your store and train your salespeople. Now, I'm not doing that for free, but I'm happy to come do that. I've done a ton of successful sales training classes, and I would be more than happy to come to your store to do that. Because what you have to remember is, if you're not going to give them the training, the foundation that they're missing, or that they forgot about, or that they have unlearned over the past 3 years, you can't then hold them to the expectation that they're going to go back to that or figure that out on their own or use the force and come up with it magically now. So it's really incumbent upon my owners and GMs to provide that level of training and just level set everybody, saying, hey, I know we suck. I know we've had problems with our sales. We're very low on volume right now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to level set everybody. We're going to have a trainer here on this day, and we're going to basically start over from square one with this process. And this is going to be our new sales process, our new follow-up process. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It might be as simple as the 12 steps to the sale that we all saw in my generation taped up on the sales desk wall. It might be just that simple. Go back to your Joe Verde training. Go back to your Dealer Knows Joe Webb training. There's stuff that I remember from back in my early Ford days when I was early in the car business that I still use now. The best close doesn't look like a close. The best close is when they're basically talking themselves into saying yes, and you didn't talk them into it. And that's for not just what we do, not just car sales, but just about anything. Getting off on a tangent, as I do. But really holding that expectation without offering the foundational training that is definitely needed right now. Like, I have calls all the time from dealers telling me, we're not selling, we're not selling, we're not selling. Well, what are you doing internally at your store to remedy that? You can't, I said this in a video a couple of videos ago, you can't PPC your way out of this. You're going to have to put some money towards it. And that means putting money towards training, putting money and time towards holding them accountable to that training and those foundations that you have. So if you're finding that your results, your sales results for your store aren't what you want them to be, you absolutely need to double down on some training. You're not going to change anything by just changing marketing vendors. You're just not. By changing all your third-party vendors, by firing your website company, by switching CRMs. That's not going to magically put a Band-Aid on the Grand Canyon, for crying out loud. You're going to have to put some effort into training. You're going to have to put some effort into going back to basics. There are so many resources out there, not just me, that are sales trainers, consultants that can come in and help your store move to the next level. I'm sure you know them. I'm sure you've gone to your 20. You can go to your 20 group and you can ask, hey, who has a great sales trainer that they had great success with? So really getting back to, and I wouldn't recommend without looking at data. Now, if you look at the data and your ROI, your hard conversion ROI on one of your third-party vendors is like $800, yeah, maybe you need to fire that one. But I'm not saying that should be your go-to. What I'm saying is you need to look at the data, and if your ROI on your soft conversions is in line with what the national average is, so let's just call it $250. Let's call it $200 to $250 for a to push a soft conversion. I'm totally pulling that number out of the air because, as my good friend, one of my good friends says all the time, 99% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So I'm going to follow that rule. So let's say it's $200, $250. That's the average for your store. You're looking for the good ROI for your store, not for the national, not for anybody else, but for your store. So start at $200, $250, and then work your way to what makes sense for you. Monitor it for 90 days, 6 months, whatever, and look back 90 days, 6 months and see what it was. And then how do you reduce it? How do you make that ROI go down? And that's where you come up with your store's average, what it should be, your average good ROI. Now, if that works, if that pencils on your soft conversions and your hard conversions also pencils, the ROI makes sense, right? That may be, let's call it 300. Let's call it 300 on a hard conversion. That's what it cost me to get a hard conversion. See the earlier disclaimer if you disagree with that. But that's what you've established for your store in the past 6 months that you've seen, is that's our average ROI. We want to reduce it. So how do you reduce it? You do right by your customers. You get a good reputation online. You provide excellent customer service. But if your sales aren't converting, like if you know you're getting 1,000 opportunities, you're getting 1,000 at-bats. Let's do baseball. I wish I knew more about baseball. If you're getting 1,000 at bats, what's a good RBI average? What's a good, you know, is that a baseball? I'm horrible at sports. Maybe I shouldn't have picked that one. Anyway, if you get 1,000 at bats and you sell over a month and your team sells 200 cars, is that a good RBI for your store? If you say no, then you need to go back and do some foundational training. And I don't know a single GM that would object to their team getting more foundational sales training, A, and want to sell more cars, B. So that's all I got for this week. Happy selling.